I never know how to start these things.
To this one, c'est la vie, or whatever those French people say.
Que sera, sera.
Que pasa?
Je m'appelle Mike.
Baguette muy gusto, baby.
Beef. Bonjour, everybody, and welcome again to Keystone Film Review. We just saw The Nun 2. Ooh.
Yes.
It is written by Ian Goldberg, Richard Nanging, and others. Directed by Michael Chavez. Starring Tessa Farmiga, Jonas Bloquet, Storm Reed, my wife, Anna Popplewell, Bonnie Aarons, Caitlin Rose Downey, Susan Bertish, other people. This, of course, is the second Nun film, which is of the Conjuring Universe, which is becoming more and more like Marvel every day with cutscenes and everything.
The Nun will return.
Yes. So, before this one came out, or was even going to come out, I had not seen it. He saw it, but forgot about it.
I had no idea.
I watched it this week, the first one. He rewatched it this week and was like, oh, I have seen this.
Yeah, I had remembered nothing about the first one. Last night, I went and I watched it, and while watching, I'm like, I don't remember shit about this movie.
Yeah.
But all of it is in my mind. I think I watched this movie.
And the first one, while the majority of it is kind of boring and slow, has some moments that makes it so bad it's good. So what I was hoping going into this, that this would be more of the same. Some boring moments, but then filled with moments that are so bad, it's kind of good.
Both actually had a lot of great effects.
Yes.
And that is scary.
Yes.
Because how dare it? Has no right. Why do that to me?
Yeah.
Why make me like you?
Yeah. But Glenn,
Yeah.
what did you think of this one?
I enjoyed this more than the first one. I think a big thing that kind of held back the first one is that it really only had like 3 characters kind of running around this.
Yeah, I think at that point they weren't sure if the expanded universe was going to work. So they kind of tried to keep it low budget. This was still pretty low budget, pretty much one location on repeat. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed the fact that there was more cast, so there was more people to terrorize. I don't know what that was going to be. Tortellini, baby. More people to terrorize, and more than just 3 people having dialogue with each other. I think a lot of those other people weren't necessarily utilized to their extent, but I mean, at least there was more people than just scaring between a trio of sorts. Like I said before, a lot of the effects were great in this movie. There's like, it's a lot of it's just kind of background stuff that happens. It's not like the forefront stuff that happens right immediately. Like in the first one, I remember specifically where Irene is like getting out of like a bed in like a daydream, or like not a daydream, like I guess a nightmare or something. She's getting out of bed, and there's like a cross as she's getting out of bed that's slowly turning to flip around while
Like in The Conjuring 2, but less impressive because it was like hundreds of them at the same time.
Yes, I don't even fucking remember that one.
No.
But as she's getting up, this cross is slowly turning, and there's like the nun sitting there waiting for her. It's just so perfectly timed. A lot of the effects were great in this too, just like that. Like there was one with a painting that was really cool. There was one with a flashlight that was really dope, and then there's a couple more other good ones. But I don't want to spoil that for you, just in case you might want to go see it. Yeah,
visually this movie was better than the first, and also in just characters, just because there's more than 3 characters. And arguably, I would say it's just as funny, unintentionally funny, as the first one. Because the first, obviously they're horror movies. They're not, and there's going to be some moments of humor in horror movies, but the things that made me laugh out loud were not the things that were supposed to be funny. I can't hate a movie for not being as scary as it's trying to be. Maybe I'm just desensitized, but this movie still felt very small, even though I'm assuming it had a bigger budget because there's more actors involved. Because I hinted about it, and you pointed this out. I probably wouldn't even notice if you didn't point out. They're in this school, but this school is essentially just one hall and one classroom, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they use this hallway that goes nowhere except for a chapel that's closed all the time for no reason, because the chapel's closed. There's nothing else in there except for the chapel being closed.
There's the whole, like, a lot of the scenes that take place during this movie are this big hallway that leads to two things: either the courtyard to the garden and stuff, or the chapel. And then it leads also, if you're going where everybody usually comes from, a stairwell that goes up. But there's a lot of traffic going through this hallway, but there's no other doors besides the courtyard, but people are always walking towards the chapel. It makes no silly willy sense.
Like, you could tell that they wanted it to be like a Hogwarts type school, where it feels like this massive castle, or in this case it would have been a massive monastery, but for whatever reason had to narrow down all the hallway scenes to one singular hallway. And it made it kind of awkward and claustrophobic, I guess, would have enhanced it a little bit, but it just, I don't know, it didn't sell it as much as I would hope for in a bigger budget film. I mean, if I'm honest, that's kind of a nitpick, if we're gonna really get into it.
Yeah, I mean, most normal people probably wouldn't have noticed it. I noticed it just because like a good portion of the movie was taking place right then. I'm like, this is bothering me a little bit.
And it was also scenes where they weren't going to the courtyard. So there's no reason for them to be in that hallway.
Yeah, they were like walking towards the chapel, and
which is closed.
Which is closed. There's no reason. It's forbidden.
Yeah, I would say like 1/4 of the time that they're there, it's like a good reason for them to be there.
There's one character that doesn't really return, and that makes me kind of. I wonder if that like character just wasn't, or that actor just wasn't available for this, or
well, he's a pretty big actor,
or just what happened. But
Demi and Bashir. Is who he's talking about.
They're like, how come Father Burke couldn't, or where's Father Burke? Cholera.
Not only that, but they're talking about all these priests who died via the demon killing them. They're like, this father slit his throat. This nun hung herself. This self-immolated. Shot herself. All these things. And then they're like, what about Bishop so-and-so, whatever his name is, Damien Bishop's. Oh, cholera.
Yes, something that has nothing to do with any of
Nothing to do.
He just died.
He just died, yeah. So it was just kind of funny. I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but it was a little funny. Just from the timing, not the fact that his character is dead, just the timing of it. Especially because he was buried alive in the first one. And already had a headstone made. That was so sweet of the demons to make him a headstone.
They did that.
They did. Overall, I mean, I wasn't really excited for this movie other than maybe it was going to be kind of funny, which it was. I don't think this is the kind of horror movie that really tickles my fancy anymore. The Conjuring universe has just been downhill since the first one, if you ask me. And this is no exception. It's still kind of bad. But if you're going to see it with some friends, it is kind of enjoyable to kind of poke fun at. And it could be worse, I guess. It wasn't incompetently made. It was just, I feel like they didn't put much thought into the writing, which it's a horror movie. I get it. You're not going to really think about the writing that much. But a strong written script can really send a horror film to the next level. And this did not have it.
I think this movie wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I only rewatched the first one because we were watching this one. I didn't want to. I did.
Well, you didn't even know it was a rewatch. You thought you hadn't seen it before.
Again, I didn't even know, but I rewatched it. Didn't want to. I did. Luckily, I had some free time enough.
And it is a movie. This is a sequel that you kind of have to see the first one to know what's like. They do a good job of catching you up, but like, you're not going to know how funny the ending is if you don't see the first one.
What I genuinely like is there really isn't like a horror universe. But like the Conjuring universe is kind of like making that. The thing that I don't like about the Conjuring universe is kind of how long it's taking to like stay on one thing versus like the Warrens had this whole room filled with shit, and they only focus on the Annabelles, the nuns, and then that's kind of, I think, it. And then more of the Conjurings.
And the nun is completely made up, I believe. I don't think it's based on a true case.
Yeah,
true, because you know it's all bullshit.
Airy quotes.
Yeah,
but I wish the universe, the Warrens will return, which is the funniest fucking thing to me. I wish it would focus more on all those things that are in that room versus like what they know will cash cow.
Yeah.
Like it'd be really cool to see some of the other things that a lot of those cases in the past happened to fuck people up or whatever that happened. And I don't know. I'm not a priest.
It'd be cool to see an Amityville horror type movie from the Warrens' perspective, because they did go there. And now, if you believe if the Amityville horror actually happened or if it was all in his family's mind, that's another thing. But the Warrens were there at some point, so it'd be interesting to see that story from their perspective, instead of just the normal one we've gotten, which is a good version. The original version is pretty good, but
I just want to see it broadened out. I want to see, even if it's just the origins of what is in that room and the Warrens aren't in it. I love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, but even if they're not in it, I would love to see more than just the same two things that we've been seeing. And
maybe it's just because I know that they're sisters, but the fact that Taissa Farmiga, or however you pronounce her first name, Taissa, is in this is very distracting to me, because I keep expecting her to become like a descendant or
like a great
an ancestor of
just like a grandmother.
Grandmother of Vera Farmiga's character, or like an aunt.
It would be a mother, because mother.
Like when I watched the first one, I thought that they were gonna the French guy, the French Canadian, and her were gonna. She was gonna leave the church and become
and create a little Lorraine.
Yes. But of course it didn't go that way. So it's just distracting to me that she's in a movie in the Conjuring universe and they're not mentioning it.
Yeah.
I know that they don't need to. It's just because I know that they're sisters. It's just like, right now it's just feeling like nepotism.
A little bit.
It could be nepotism and also very clever.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not that. I don't think it will be that either. I think it'll just be nepotism, which is fine. I have no problem with nepotism in Hollywood, because movies ultimately do not matter. But yeah, this was fine. It was fine. It wasn't good. It was fine.
Yeah.
I had fun watching it.
I had fun making fun of it.
Probably would not have had as much fun watching it until the ending if I was by myself. But we were making fun of it the whole time, so it was fun. In a respectful way.
Of course.
I know making movies is hard. And they did a good job. It's just not my cup of tea.
He doesn't even drink tea.
I don't drink tea. Tea is weird. Tea is just dirt water. Why would you want to drink that? Same with coffee. It's just dirt water.
That's my boy Ted Lasso over here.
Well, I feel like he likes coffee, doesn't he?
Yes he does.
Yeah, when Ted Lasso calls it, I forget exactly what he says. He says something along those lines. I'm like, you're right. It's dirty water. It's gross.
But it's delicious dirty water.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But yes, The Nun 2 ratings?
I'll give it a 3.
3? I'm not going to be as generous. I'm going to give it a 2. I enjoyed watching it, but it's not good. It's too competent to be so bad that it's good. Same with the first one. Too competent to be so bad that it's good. But it is a fun watch, and I will never watch it again.
Yeah, I'll never watch it again, but...
See, 3, I might watch it again.
Yes.
2, I will never watch again. That's what we thought of The Nun 2. If you saw The Nun 2... I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep doing that. Tell us what you thought down in the comments. If you were a demon, which one would you be?
Oh.
Would you be the one that dresses up as a sexy nun? I mean, it's not that sexy.
I don't know how many other sexy demons there are.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.